Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Link to the Past Randomizer Fall 2019 qualifier. This is qualifier number 13. We're getting to the very end of the qualifier stage of this tournament. Currently, we have BB Kermit's, Jamisher, Witty Words, and Oro on the restream right now. They are all four racing their fifth qualifier race. So let's see if they can finish strong for this last required qualifier. I'm going to be one of your commentators for this match. I am Slim Kirby, joined by Ben Creighton. How are you doing today, Ben?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm looking forward to seeing some good old straight-ahead Link to the Past randomizer action here tonight.
Yes, definitely. I am here for the very same thing. We have some really great runners here ready for this match, and all of them are still very much in the running as well. I believe Oro is the only one that's currently below the cutoff line, but like one strong finish here could really propel him to the past that cutoff line and be fine. So we'll have to see how this plays out.
Yes, indeed. And I was looking, and it looks like Kermit is just above the bubble there. So it's going to be an exciting race, especially for those two. But we've got those are our four featured restreamed runners. We've got, I think, did we decide 86 people playing this seed?
Yes, around 86 individuals in this seed, in this race. So a lot of people really fighting to make it through this qualifier stage as we are getting ready to get started here. Looks like got a key in the sanctuary and the hammer in Link's house.
That's always nice to see early.
We also got a map check. Looks like we do have a pendant on Eastern, while the other two Light World dungeons are crystals, if I am not mistaken. Yep, that looks right.
I always like to see that nice Eastern pendant can make an early Eastern dip look a little more attractive if you know you're not going to need to go back there later.
Oh yeah, I could not agree more with that. It's always nice to see that for sure. And looks like Uncle's going to give us $20, and the Uncle Chest is going to have a piece of heart. Not too bad. And with the hammer we found, this might actually be a good time to go to the front of Escape and kind of check out those items.
Yeah, when you've got a weapon that doesn't require the use of ammunition or magic powder, looks like Mire and Oro, that's the idea that they're having.
Yeah, that's honestly one of the reasons why I personally like checking the Uncle first, just because if you do happen to get an item of some sort, that can be a couple of more items you can get here and kind of route things around a little bit differently. We do have a bottle inside the Thieves hideout in the forest, and Kermit is actually saving and quitting from that location.
And both he and now Wadey have discovered some rupees on the bush crab, so that'll set them up nicely to go into Kakariko Village, be able to get the bottle vend.
Definitely, and maybe pick up some bombs as well if they happen to find a couple more rupees laying around. Actually, looks like Kermit is trying to farm some bombs from these bushes out here outside the Haunted Grove. So as far as the castle's concerned, we've only found a 300 and the blue mail inside the front of Escape. Nothing progressive, but definitely some good items to find early.
Oh, but there's your progression. Red cane, or potential progression, depending on where those other two pen.
Yeah, it's definitely not progression yet, but that is a very good item to find for sure. Especially, we don't know if we need to beat Misery Mire or Turtle Rock yet, but if we do, it's good we find that. And we found the other mail upgrade here on the race game. Kermit's going to go ahead and grab that while he's here. And finally going to get started on these Kakariko checks, at least the top side of Kakariko anyway.
Weighty Words down there in the lower left, gambling on finding bombs, and it does pay off for him.
Yes, it does, and finds the Power Glove as well. So that's going to be a nice find, too.
Yep, already 2/3 of the way to our Dark World access here today.
Let me get some rupees inside the back of the tavern as well. That'll allow, again, for bottle vendors, some bombs, and of course they're probably thinking about that Zora purchase at some point, too. So good to have that early. Sick Kid only paying off 5 rupees, though.
Yep, especially with those early gloves, that's got you thinking, Zora's in Logic, what's he hiding today?
Yep, that is very true. He is very much in Logic here. Ooh, Kermit does find the mirror in the back of the chicken hut. Witty Words, finding some heart pieces and some more rupees inside the Kakariko well.
Just a little piece of heart on that bottle vendor today. Not much for your $100, but
that's a little unfortunate for Kermit right there. The gold bee, if you actually show that to the bottle vendor, you can actually get some extra money. Unfortunately, the bee kind of got away from him and did not fly at the vendor, so unfortunately did miss out on that 100 rupees.
Yep. So looking at what we have to play with now, South Shore is the next obvious route to go, but with the gloves in play, we could potentially have a dark room up to Death Mountain. Still very early. Still a lot of ways we could go with this seed.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And, you know, Tower of Hera is a crystal, so we do need to beat that at some point. With the hammer, in addition to the mirror, we can actually get to the east side of Death Mountain as well. So, you know, a lot of items up there. It would be a sequence break, so we'll get nothing that kind of progresses the logic in its current format. But, again, that is a lot of items, and could find some even more items up there.
And it looks like so far Kermit's the only one who's opted to get the extra mail on race game, so he's the one who may potentially get his red mail by the end of this.
Yeah, that is very true. Because, yeah, if they found the mail inside Hyrule Castle, you don't really feel like you need that third one as much, especially if it kind of requires you to take a little bit of time to get to it. So, yeah, probably not going to see it on at least Jay Misher and Oro's side.
Weighty giving us a look at backside of Escape with the red boomerang, a single green rupee, and the map, which does mean that we will be seeing an item in Dark Cross today.
Yes, that is correct. So one item is going to be there. It can technically be gotten now, but it will be out of logic until we get that lamp, or even just the fire rod, since that room now is in logic without the lamp now. But yeah, as you said, looks like both Weighty Words and Kermit are both going to be going to the South Shore first. So they're going to be seeing what we can find down here.
And it's a small thing, but that early mirror to get the mirror glitch past this block, save yourself a couple screen transitions. Always a nice little convenience to have.
Yeah, I love having the mirror early just for that reason. Or the hook shot, which you can kind of do the same thing with. But yeah, it's really, really nice to find that. And they are both saying nope to that bug catching net that is drowned outside of the dam. Do not blame them, not required in any way, shape, or form, and I think they're pretty confident in making it through this seed without it. Ooh, Wadey going to be trying to do some hammer strats here, using the gold bee as well. Thankfully, does make it through Mini Moldorm Cave with just 1 heart.
Yeah, this South Shore, when you're running low on hearts, can be surprisingly perilous between the mini Moldorms and those crabs that move erratically and hit like trucks. And he finds the hook shot.
Oh, yeah, very good find by Wadey there. Hook shot. And Kermit, unfortunately, having to use his last bomb because the bomb, for some reason, didn't explode on that last mini Moldorm. So we'll not be able to go to Ice Rod Cave, so going to be saving and quitting as a result.
Yep, there's a rock on the way with a 50-50 shot, but that's a heck of a gamble for 1 item check, kind of a long way away.
Yeah, and if anything, like, that could end up paying off for him. Like, he may never have to go back there, and he's kind of moving ahead with his own progression now, so that could be beneficial. And on Jay Meisher's end, he actually decided to go for that Death Mountain play, so he is up here on the mountain. Gonna see what he can find.
And just a little piece of love, little piece of heart there in the Ice Rod Caves. That's not going to be hurting Kermit. And will, like you say, be helping him if he never has to go.
Definitely. Like, even if he finds the flute later, like, that's a much faster way of getting there, and that'd still be saving time, so yeah, definitely good. Meanwhile, we are in Sahasrar's hut right now. Gonna see what's in the back here. Jamie, you're seeing a medallion inside Spectacle Rock Cave.
Looks like just the blue cane in Sasrola's hut. Can be convenient in a couple of spots, but hardly necessary. Unless Spike Cave comes into play later.
That is true.
Meanwhile, Weighty Words taking the fake flipper play, seeing a lot of good early divergence as Kermit heads into that pendant Easter.
Well, Jay Meisher setting up a bomb jump here so he doesn't have to go all the way around and back up the mountain again. Nicely done on his part. So it looks like the first item we get in Eastern Palace is the compass. Currently in Eastern Palace, there are 3 items we can potentially find. I'll also get another map check. Ice Palace and Turtle Rock are the red crystals. Skullwoods is the other red-blue pendant, and looked like Swamp Palace was the green pendant.
And Jay Meisher heading into Hera does not have a fire source yet, so this is something of a gamble, but he's up here. It's worth checking.
Also, Kermit did find the map and the compass, which unfortunately means there is going to be an item on the Armos Knights. So that's unfortunately, unless we find the bow in here, we're not going to be able to get that item yet. And we are fire locked in Hera as well.
Now that could be less of an issue for when some of our runners that have already found that hook shot get in there, thanks to the newly discovered Herapod glitch.
And we have a vanilla bow today. BB Kermit finding the bow in the big chest in Eastern. He will be able to finish this dungeon. It'll be a sequence break because, again, no lamp or fire rod, but or actually no lamp, no lamp. But that he can get all the items in here, and he has the bow, which will ultimately be required in the seed because Pod is a crystal.
And there's that fire source for Jay Misher. He finds the fire rod in Paradox Cave. He will be able to go back and complete Hera Town.
That is definitely a relief. So at least you're still on the mountain when you found it, so that's definitely nice.
But this mountain play being a sequence break, we're starting to run a little shy of places to check for our in-logic progression.
Yeah, that is very true, and I definitely see a lot of people in chat speculating right now. It seems like at this point it's either going to be at Zora or Agena, so could be at one of those two places.
And we did see Wadey piecing out of the fake flipper play, which could have gotten him to Zora a little earlier. We'll see if he regrets.
Well, unfortunately, he also just does not have the rupees for Zora anyway, so wouldn't be able to grab it regardless. But yeah, that is definitely a shame when that does happen, though, for sure. You gotta think we gotta be finding that pearl at some point soon, since we're definitely much closer to Dark World access than we are like an Aga Tower plays, so pearl's gotta be at one of those two locations, or at least the progression to it anyway.
Well, Kermit cleaning up his Armos fight, finding a mere 10 arrows along with the blue pendant there.
Yeah, it is unfortunate, but I mean, we did find that bow. That is going to be a very important item moving forward, so, you know, at least there's that. It definitely doesn't hurt checking Armos at that point, and then, you know, avoiding a potential trip back later, so definitely not a bad find from Eastern.
Oh, agreed. Yeah, that's the thing about Randomizer. The right play doesn't always pay off.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so yeah, Jay Misher is now going back to Tower of Hera, taking his little coffee break here.
And I'll be trying to keep an eye out for what's in that Hera big chest, because our other three runners, having found the hookshot, will be able to bypass this, potentially saving them a bunch of time. But if they skip that big key and it turns out to be important, it could be an even bigger time loss.
That is very true, because, yeah, Jay Misher did not come up here with the hookshot. The other three runners will be able to perform the recently allowed glitch, the Hera pot, which is definitely going to be fun to see if we get to watch that here. Yeah, that is definitely a point. As you mentioned earlier, Hera pot could be costly, because if there is an item in that big chest, then yeah, those runners who perform that will not be able to get that yet, and in a sense will be still leaving an item behind anyway.
And here it is, the moment of truth. Just 20 bucks.
Okay. That's not going to be too bad for those who decide to go for the Hera pot strat. But yeah, once again, this does kind of put, once again, the focus back on either Agina or Zora at this point, because those are the only two in logic checks we have right now. We haven't really, I mean, we found some items from this Death Mountain sequence break for sure, but not necessarily the items we need to get to Dark World or just find any other current progression right now.
Mishra finishing up his very clean Moldorm fight and finding the boots. There's potential progression. Opens up a couple checks.
Yeah, with that, he will be able to get the item that was on the library if he so chooses. And, of course, there is the Bonk Rocks at Sanctuary, so that could be something. It won't be the Moon Pearl or what we're currently looking for right now to get to the Moon Pearl, logically, but, you know, it could be something.
And if nothing else, having the boots early over the course of a seed is a significant time save.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And it's just fun because it opens up all those weird, wacky glitches that we love to see.
Mm-hmm. May not see a lot of hovering because of the early hookshot, but still, you know, if people want to show it off, they can with the boots. Oh, I guess Jay Mishra didn't check the library earlier, so that's his first time he saw those bombs up there. Oh yeah, I guess he just skipped South Kakariko, which I have seen some runners do, so understandable.
Well, yep, that does narrow it back down to either Zora, Agina, or possibly following that sequence break logic, and heading into Dark Cross. But it looks like Mishra's going to be heading towards Agina first.
Yeah, that's what it looks like at this current point in time. He does have enough money for Zora, so he can do that. And he can also do fake flippers as well if he wants to, as well. Okay, so on Witty Words side, we're going to be seeing the Hera pot in action.
Now, this is a glitch that requires a precise, I believe, pixel-perfect bomb bonk to clip through an invisible railing on this pot, allowing you to hookshot, jump down there, and skip a couple floors of Hera here.
Yeah, because normally you fall down a hole on the upper floor, which takes you to this little fairy fountain, and then once you touch teleporter, you go back up here again. And yeah, as you can see, we're at the top floor of Hera. Unfortunately, we do not have the big key, so Witty Words cannot check what's inside that big chest, but we know it's 20 rupees, so we know it's not going to be something he's going to need.
Yep, and of course you and I know that, but that's going to be weighing on his mind with the whole rest of the seed.
Yes, definitely. Oh, and yeah, it looks like Jay Mishra is just in general checking the South Shore area. I guess he skipped this a bit earlier.
Yeah, as is often the case, we've got our runners crossing over, following each other's tracks, and picking up those nice high item density locations that they've skipped so far.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Meanwhile, Witty Words does get his boots, so now he's kind of got the same number of crystals that Jay Mishra has now. So who is going to be the first to make that play into either Zora or Agina now?
Well, Jay Mishra does seem to be heading to the fake flipper spot, which
And it looks like Kermit is doing that as well, so... Oh, and Jay Meisher actually running on the water, using the water walk technique here.
Yeah, smart with the boots in hand. No moon pearl, so he will not be able to do the double water walk and get whatever's on the ledge. But he does find powder here in the fairy fountain,
which we can get to. It's still out of logic at this point, but he can definitely do that.
Kermit opting for the Zora play. Meisher doubling back, heading to Hobo. I don't know whether he goes back to Zora after this. I'm guessing not. He might be planning to jump up to the stairs and head up to Eastern and Sasra's hut.
That is true. He's not been in that area yet. So let's see what is on the Great King Zora. 500 rupees for the Moon Pearl.
That's an incredible find for Kermit here. Saving and quitting. That's his Dark World act.
Yes, indeed it is. So yeah, he's going to be the first in a Dark World through the traditional means. We technically have seen the dungeons that we need in the Dark World, but going to be the first one to actually be able to do something in the Dark World here. And it looks like he's starting over at the Hype Cave entrance. So 5 very quick items we can get there, and then we'll see how he kind of continues to route this.
Yep, and it looks like I spoke too soon about Jay Meisher. He is heading to Zora, and it looks like there is also flute on Zora Ledge, so we'll need to be coming back to that in order to get Mire access later, once flippers are in hand.
Yeah, that is true.
And no progression in Hype Cave today. Most exciting thing in there was a bottle full of blue.
Actually, Jay Meisher's up to something here.
I vaguely know of the existence of this bug, but I could not begin to tell you how it works or how to do it, but...
I think he sees that flute and wants it now.
Yeah,
but instead decides to nope out on it.
Meanwhile, Kermit making a beeline for Palace of Darkness here. I do believe he has everything required to full clear. Not in logic quite yet, but with enough dark rooming.
Oh yeah, for sure. He can definitely get all the items from here. I'm sure he knows his dark rooms. And he has red mail, so even the turtle room won't be as brutal. Would have been nice to have that fire rod, though, but he'll get it later.
And for those who may not be aware, when we speak of things being in logic, the algorithm that decides what can be placed where always assumes that you have either the lamp or, in certain cases, the fire rod to navigate dark rooms. And Kermit picking up the Titan's mitts here in Palace of Darkness.
Ooh, very good find. That's going to open up pretty much all the just normal Dark World gates from the Light World. So the whole world's pretty much at his disposal now, which is really nice.
And speaking of the lamp...
Yeah, there is the lamp inside the chess game in the Village of Outcasts, so Jay Meisher now has both fire sources now.
So that does put everything attained up in Death Mountain back into logic.
Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, Oro on his end just finishes up Tower of Hera, gets his boots, and gets his crystal from Moldorm. Okay, so we just got two important finds on two sides. Jay Meeser finding a sword in Thieves Town, and Kermit finding the flippers inside Palace of Darkness.
Yep. And those flippers will make the flute available. It'll be interesting to see when he's able to route back around and grab that.
Thankfully, there's a little bit of incentive there because he does have the mirror. So after this, if he wants to check Catfish, for example, he could go over there and just mirror, grab the flute, and then be on his way to start looking at the left side of Dark World.
Yep. True. Also, he has the two checks in Fairy Fountain that'll be able to get. We know that the only one that matters is Powder.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, as chat's already figured out, at this point, we're really just kind of looking for, well, another sword upgrade would obviously be nice. The Ice Rod and any potential medallions we could need for Turtle Rock and Misery Mire. So, yeah, we're not really looking for too much now.
Yep, and the world's wide open at this point.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Dark Death Mountain with full hookshot cave access. Turtle Rock is potentially accessible depending on medallions.
Yeah, at this point, pretty much, at least with the items we know we found, like every Dark World dungeon sans the medallion ones are accessible right now. The other bow would also be a nice find, but that will not necessarily be required. Could be for Jay Meeser if he never decides to go to Eastern.
Yeah, if he's able to find that bow elsewhere, it would save him a little bit of time dipping that dungeon.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, Kermit... Oh, I think he was actually death warping, so never mind.
Jay Meeser making short work of Blind the Thief and picking up a second crystal.
Mm-hmm. That is 2 crystals for him now. And he has plenty of items to start making some other plays on some other dungeons around here, so could be up to 3 crystals very soon. Meanwhile, it looks like Oro did manage to make it down to the flutes. Manages to sequence break that out, at least for him anyway. We know where the flippers are, but Oro does not.
Yep, that will save him a little bit of time making that long trek around Zora's domain.
Now Kermit's making his way to the basement of Pod to make it to Helmasaur. And the room he is about to enter is what I consider the most difficult part of this, especially with no fire rod. But yeah, there are 6 turtle enemies we have to defeat before we can get to the next room, and we can't see them. We can only really feel around and try to get them with the hammer whenever we can.
Yep, and it is the hammer. Normally, you'd be able to hit him with the hammer, flip him over, and then maybe slash with the slightly more generous sword hitbox. Not today.
Oh, that's very true. So yeah, gonna have to use the hammer for everything here.
And as if that weren't bad enough, there's always the danger that you don't get that direct hit and you flip them back over anytime you try to take a swing at them.
Yeah, it's annoying when that happens, but does feel good when you do get them all, though.
Kermit attempting to use the blue cane to bump into them, sound out their location. I couldn't tell if it gave him any help, but
it did look like he got another one at least, so that's good. Meanwhile, Jay Misha going straight for the back of Skull Woods first. And Kermit does make it to Helmasaur.
Jay Misha opting for hammer strats and takes down Moth very, very quickly. That is not easy with that wonky hammer hitbox.
Yeah, and also, like, Mothula really has to cooperate, too, so very nicely done on his behalf. And Kermit does take down Helmasaur King, only 3 hearts, but that red mail does mitigate quite a bit of damage, so thankfully able to take him down. Only gets a shield for their trouble, and Weighty Words manages to pull off the flute out of logic as well.
Meanwhile, Oro finding the book in the front of Skull Woods.
Well, that opens up desert from another end.
Yep, that'll make him the first of our runners to collect all the pieces for Desert Palace access. Everyone else missing either the Titans or the flute.
We also managed to see just some rupees on Bumper Cave Ledge, and Oro is also going to check the Lumberjack item, which I believe was nothing we need to worry about. Yep, just a red rupee.
Kermit giving us our first look at Pyramid, and then likely to head, like you said, up to Catfish and grab that flute once he's done here.
And then it's just a matter of, do we clear out some dungeons now? Do we check out our medallion requirements and kind of work on those other locations? Pretty interesting to see how these runners are going to be routing this next move here.
Oro giving us a look at some of the north boots and mirror checks, including Graveyard Ledge, an often skipped spot. But all for naught today.
And because he does have that mirror, he can also take a look at King's Tomb as well. Do you find another bottle on the dig game?
And nothing in catfish, but that's okay. Kermit will find plenty of other value up here.
Oh yeah, for sure. So gonna get that powder. And again, we know about the flute over there, so gonna be picking up that as well.
Oro picking up the Quake Medallion in King's Tomb. That gives him a pretty good 2 and 3 chance that either of our 2 medallion dungeons will be accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Wadey finds a piece of heart on bat, nothing important.
And yep, Jay Mish are going to take that book that he found in Skull Woods and going to be checking out Desert Palace now.
Always nice to be able to come into these light world dungeons and not have to stress too hard about only having fighter sword.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. That's honestly my favorite part of Randomizer, just being able to beat like really easy stuff even easier with stuff that you'd get like halfway through and or even in-game in some cases. Looks like Mishra hasn't found very much in the first part of Desert Palace yet.
And just some bombs on the torch. That's one out of our 2 items to be found in here.
Yeah, because he's definitely found mostly dungeon items to start anyway. And, oh, yeah, there's another one, so it looks like Lemno is going to have the last item.
Hard to call any particular runner as being too far in the lead at this point. Kermit was looking good for having found Dark World access first, but that lack of boots is hurting him.
Yeah, and he also doesn't have that fire rod either. I mean, Skullwoods is a pendant, thankfully, so he doesn't have to worry about that too much, but still, it's, you like to have at least one of the rods at the very least, so, you're just looking for one and not both of them.
Yep. Potentially that lack of fire rod could actually help him, since there's no value in the back of Skullwoods. That book was in the front. Might save him a boss fight.
That's true, and if there ends up not being anything in Ice Palace, then has the potential to maybe even go mode the dungeon later, so we'll have to see. I don't know. I find Ice Palace tends to have a lot of progression once you have access to it.
Yep, one of the quirks of the way the algorithm fills out the item checks from back to front, as it were. It means the deeper you get into logic, the more likely you are to find value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Very quickly answer a question in chat. The Titan's Myths, or at least the second glove upgrade, was inside Palace of Darkness, and Kermit's been the only one to explore that dungeon at this point.
And Mishra squeaking out his Landmo fight for a mere $20, but a required crystal.
Yeah, and he is up to 3 crystals right now, which is pretty good. Everyone else only has, at least 1 crystal. Or only 1 crystal.
Yeah, especially considering that he's also got a pendant to his name. He's doing quite well for himself.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, the one kind of big thing he's lacking is the bow, but once he does go to Palace of Darkness, it's only going to be a mirror away, so in theory, he'd probably check that along with it, unless he decides he doesn't want to take the chance on it. See if he can find that bow somewhere else.
Yeah, the danger there being that Eastern being a pendant dungeon, he could decide to gamble, go into pod first, and then have to turn around and come back. But that's really not that big a time loss, considering that bow is really only absolutely necessary for Helmasaur King.
Right.
And we've kind of got our eyes glued on Jay Misha right now, our other three runners all finishing out Thieves Town.
Yeah, it looks like Jay Misha is going over to the pod area. Looks like he's going to be checking some of the kind of northern stuff first, Pyramid, Catfish, and probably going to pick up his flute as well. Oh wait, he doesn't have the flippers yet, never mind. But we know where they are, they're in pod as well.
And as our four runners cover each other's tracks here, we'd like to remind everybody to give these guys a follow. They're here putting on a great show for you, showing off their skills at this game that we all love.
Yeah, they definitely are, for sure. As mentioned before, all four of these runners are currently on their fifth qualifier race, and that's generally the number you want to go for these qualifiers, because in the case of how the scoring system works, your best and worst run of the 5 qualifiers will be dropped, and 5 is kind of what we see as the minimum number. You can technically get away with 4, but it is kind of risky because you'll have an automatic drop of a forfeit, and that's, you may want to try to maybe get one score that's better than your current worst, so that's why they're going to be all racing their 5th one here.
True, and they do have the option, anybody does have the option of doing more than 5, but then you're running the risk. If you do better than your average, you're bringing your total score up, but you could always do worse and drag that score down.
Yep, that is very, very true.
And when we say score, so folks are assigned a score based on the difference of their time with the par, which is reached by the average of the top 5 runners in any given seed.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it looks like our 3 runners that just finished Thieves Town are kind of working around Thieves Town a little bit, making those checks that are kind of in the area. We are getting some new checks with BB Kermit here, the only one who has the Titan's mitts, so being able to check hammer pegs, being able to do the entire blacksmith chain side quest. So we'll see if this ends up leading to something big for him in the near future.
Well, not in hammer pegs, and looks like he's about to pick up his little piece of love from the bat, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends his what is normally called the smith chain, although in this case without the smith.
Yeah, that is going to be very important to finishing this chain for sure.
And it looks like Jay Misha did correctly, we know, decide to head into Eastern first.
Yeah, he may have just, realized, this is a pendant dungeon. May not hurt if the bow's here. I could save a lot of time of having to double dip pod. So, yeah, it does make kind of sense to go in this fashion.
Meanwhile, Weighty Words also dipping into pod here. Already having the bow, he'll be able to full clear it.
Mm-hmm. And Kermit is heading back to Death Mountain here, so we're going to be potentially seeing what's going to be on the dark side of Death Mountain. Also gets that crucial medallion knowledge for Turtle Rock.
Jay Misher opting to take his bow and leave Eastern.
That will definitely work for him. We know that those remaining 2 items are not going to be anything important. It is a pretty bold gamble to make, because again, it's not a long dungeon, but it is still essentially 2 items you're kind of leaving behind there.
I suppose knowing that he'll have the flute, well, if you were abandoning flippers, that could be a bit of a problem. We know.
And I don't think that's going to happen. He has everything to full clear Palace of Darkness. He knows it's a crystal, so yeah, it's going to be finished for sure. And a little bit ago, we had 3 people in Thieves Town. We're going to have 3 people in Palace of Darkness here in a little bit. And it's not the same 3 runners either, in either case.
BB Kermit opting to leave right side of Death Mountain B for the moment and head towards Tower of Hera, which, boy, it'll make me happy once I see this frog dashing around with those boots.
Yeah, I know the feeling. See, unlike the other runners, he actually came here with a fire source from the get-go. And yep, he's just going to go straight down.
Taking no chances on potentially orphaning an item.
Mm-hmm. That's normally the reason why you want to skip the tile room big chest here, big key chest here. So, yeah, if you're gonna get this, you may as well go for it.
So I'm trying to think, which of these runners do you think is likely to show us some new progression first? Jay Misher's been kind of leading the charge, but will that continue as he gets out of pod?
At this point, I feel like the most likely scenario is maybe Kermit after this Hera dip, because he's more than likely going to go to the right side of Death Mountain, and with those mitts, he will have access to the dark side, and we have not seen anything on that yet. I am curious about the moves after this pod play from the other three. Jamie, sure. We could see Ice Palace on the table very soon, so that could be an interesting place as well. Obviously, we still need that Mire information too, so kind of hard to predict at this point. But I think right now, Dark Death Mountain, pretty lucrative place to check for items right now.
Very true. That with a flute and titans in tow, though, as Weighty Words comes out of Palace of Darkness, at least doing the Mire area checks can be tempting just because it is so quick to do.
Yeah, and looking at the items, we do have a medallion. It's only one, but if Mire is quick, that's another crystal clear. And he is grabbing the flute. And here we go. Oh, looks like he's going to take care of... Or no, he just wanted to see the item first. Makes sense. Ooh, looks like it is Bombos for Misery Mire.
Ooh, that'll be good for some of our other runners, but not for Weighty. Ah, but there's that third medallion.
He finds the other one, but not the one he's looking for right now.
And it's starting to look likely that we'll have the classic Ice Rod hunt for our Go Mode item. Although we still haven't seen that second sword yet, either.
Yeah, that's true. We will need to at least get that sword. And here we go with the Dark Death Mountain checks on Kermit's end here. Well, no, actually, first he's going to mirror here to have a mirror portal. Going to check Paradox Cave first. Finally going to get his Fire Rod. And here goes Jay Misher inside Ice Palace. Unfortunately, just the map in the first chest of Ice Palace.
Meanwhile, in the upper left, Kermit heading into Super Bunny.
Just some love in Super Bunny.
But Hookshot Cave is where the real density is here, unless he decides to... Unless he is able to and decides to dip Turtle Rock without an Ice Rod, which would be a a real big brain play at this stage.
Oh, it finds the mushroom, but that's the only unique item we have in here. And looks like
Turtle Rock requires Quake. Yes, indeed. We've got a real rash of folks coming to medallion dungeons with all the wrong medallions today.
I know, right? Okay, so Kermit going to be checking Spike Cave next. Okay, so we have one runner in Ice Palace. We have one runner in Misery Mire. So that's going to be 2 dungeons. We'll be able to kind of sift through to find that ice rod.
Jay Misher using some slightly obscure safety strats there, powdering an invisible bunny beam underneath a rock.
I love doing that. And looks like Potion Shop didn't really pay off with that mushroom, so Kermit is also heading to Ice Palace now. Weighty Word's going to pick up his Bombos medallion.
Well, Misher finds $300, still no progression yet, and of course, Oro, isn't it always the way? When you have to full clear Misery Mire, that's when you get that early big key. Oh, but he's taking it.
Okay, interesting, interesting. And here goes Jay Misher down into Cold Stairs Arena. This can be a pretty intimidating fight, especially with only Fighter Sword.
That's right, and with no half magic to let you spam those fire rod shots. Thankfully, he does have that red mail, so they won't hit quite as hard as normally would.
Oh, and he had a potion too, so that's also nice. And he's getting some good splash damage on some of these cold stare puffs too.
Yeah, that is a beautiful cold stare fight. Just lining up those puffs perfectly to make efficient use of his magic. He still had half a meter left.
Oh yeah, definitely. And no, I don't think there was really much of anything inside Ice Palace. I know there were 2 rupees items, but I guess the third one wasn't anything important either, so Jay Misher finally going to go around to Zora Ledge to pick up his flutes.
And this is really good routing. He knows he's got to go to Ice Palace. It takes some restraint knowing that flute is there and waiting until the correct time to go and get it.
Yeah, and you know, thankfully he had like other dungeons to do, other dungeons to clear, so you know, he was able to route those in before he actually absolutely needed to get the flute. So that is definitely nice routing on his behalf.
And speaking of rough fighter sword fights, we've got Oro chucking bombs at Vitreous's eyeballs down there, because when all you've got when all you've got is a hammer, use bombs.
Yeah, it looks like he's using bombs just to kind of weaken some of the small eyeballs. Now that they're kind of weakened, going to use the bow to shoot some of them out. Still has to be careful, though, because as the fight continues, and the more eyeballs you destroy, the more often Vitreous will use the lightning attack. And the smaller eyeballs also get a little more frisky as well.
Yep, and you've gotta watch those missed shots, because you always know I need 6 of these to take care of the big eyeballs.
Yeah, and we don't have bow upgrades in the pool anymore, and unfortunately Oro does take a death on Vitreous. Does not have a fairy either, so we'll have to go back to the beginning.
Chat rightly corrects me, it does take 8 arrows to defeat the final phase of Vitreous. And yeah, you hate to take a death in that situation, because you've just spent all your resources and there's not really a fast way to get them back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even kind of lacking rupees to really purchase those arrow and bomb upgrades too, so just gonna, dust himself off, go to desert first, maybe trying to build those resources up, like you said, and we'll give another crack at it a bit later.
Meanwhile, Mishra giving us, I believe, our first look at Checkerboard Cave.
Just a heart container. And looks like Jay Mishra is going to be going into Misery Mire now as well. Doesn't look like he has much different equipment than what Oro had, so going to be probably the same kind of fight. He could also elect to maybe look through the items in Mire, since Oro went straight to Vitreous. So could find something in Mire as well to make it a little easier.
Meanwhile, Kermit utilizing hammer strats rather than burning a blue potion against Cold Stare, and it pays off.
That is one dangerous frog.
Now, where could that ice rod be hiding? We haven't seen Swamp Palace yet. That's a pendant, but it is full clearable, and it does have the green pendant, which is one more item check. That might be the most item-rich location that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, and honestly, Turtle Rock is right behind it as well. Potential for 5 items plus the one in Mimic Cave. That's also 6 items potentially, so both of those locations could be a good chance. We haven't seen all the items in Mire yet. As chat's been calling out, Pedestal is still an uncertainty at this point, so could be very well sitting there for all we know.
Mishra, who did pick up that bug net from earlier, making use of it for some safety here. Don't blame him. The rest of Mire, with only 2.5 hearts, can be a little scary.
Especially with a hungry Vitreous at the end. Jay Mishra does find one of the items in Mire. Did he find the other one? In the or he might just be going for Vitreous to see if maybe.
Weighty words heading into his very own underpowered cold stare fight.
Yeah, I'm really curious where one of these sword upgrades are going to be. I mean, GT, Ganon's Tower, probably has, you know, at least one, probably even a second one at this point. But man, I've seen so many qualifier seeds where you work with Fighter Sword quite a bit.
Yeah, Swordless has been taken out of the pool of options for this particular tournament, unlike last year. But when you're stuck with nothing but fighters, it feels almost as bad.
Yeah, really. Okay, so Jamie sure gonna be heading into his Vitreous fight now. You can't do that with Fighter Sword. Oh wait, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, he can't. Yeah, you can't even do spin attacks with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, Blue Cane does no damage to the eyeballs and supersedes your sword.
Mm-hmm. Now, if he had Cape, it'd be a different story. But yeah, unfortunately, gonna need to use the bow and bombs for this, or just spins without Burna.
He's apparently decided the speed of taking down the smaller eyeballs with arrows is going to be worth sucking it up and fighting that big eye with nothing but Fighter Sword to your name, or Hammer in this case.
Yeah, and he was able to get a... Ooh, well, he has a fairy, so that's okay. But, yeah, he had a couple of arrows left, so he did some damage. Now he just needs a few hammer hits here, and he should be fine.
Yeah, getting in close for those hammer strikes is risky business, but feels better about taking the risk if you know you have that fairy in the bank.
And there goes Vitreous. And that is 6 crystals for Jay Meisher.
Meanwhile, Weighty Words doing his own smith chain, but actually taking the smith along in this case, meaning he'll be able to show us a couple checks we haven't seen yet.
Yeah, that's true. Ice Rod could be just chilling at the end of this little trade quest here. And that was an unintentional ice pun that I made there. I'll go ahead and say that right now. And here we go, Jay Meisher making the play. It looks like going to be heading towards... I mean, we still have the... Actually, Jay Meisher doesn't have Quake, so he can't get into Turtle Rock. So this is just going to be a Dark Death Mountain check from the look of it.
Yep, and no rewards in the smith chain either, just a couple of Valentines. Now, I believe there's still one item that we have yet to see in Mire. Let's see if Kermit also decides to beeline Vitreous, or if he does the full clear here.
Yeah, that other item is still unaccounted for, so that could be very well in this dungeon still, too.
And unfortunately, Mire not holding the answers we seek today.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Looks like Jay Misher is going to make another check. We won't be able to get this item, but we can at least spy and see what it is. Using the book, we know that's just 10 arrows on the Ether Tablet.
Yep. Yep, and I think that does bring us down to... We can make the same check, but not collection over on Desert Tablet. Other than that, I think we are down to which non-pendant and or non-completable dungeon do you like more? Turtle?
Yeah, really.
Or Swamp? It's a heck of a choice.
And it's just made even more inconvenient by just the fact that, you know, two of our runners still haven't found the Quake Medallion yet. It's in one of those kind of out-of-the-way mirror locations, so, you know, kind of have to... The runners are also thinking about those locations, too, that, you know, what I'm looking for could be at one of those places, so it's, you know, definitely a hard call to make.
I feel like it really just depends. Where on the map do you find yourself? Which is closer when you run out of other better options?
Yeah, definitely. And, like, you know, both dungeons are strong plays for different reasons. You got Swamp, which has, you know, 6 items we can get easily. And then you have Turtle Rock, which has, you know, 5 potential items and then a 6th with Mimic Cave. But if you also find it there, you can just complete the dungeon and move straight to Ganon's Tower after you're done. So, you know, a lot of stuff goes through our runners' minds, I'm sure, when they're kind of working through these seeds.
But it looks like Jay Misher has made his decision. He seems to be heading towards Swamp.
Well, I mean, he knows that the medallion he needs, he doesn't have yet, so he's going to have to dip Swamp or just, again, check all those overworld spots he still needs.
Yep, and most everything else that he has access to is starting to feel pretty orphany, going way out of your way for just one item. 1 or 2. Swamp's where the density is.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, not having Quake yet also means that he might not feel good about piecing out of Swamp, even if he does find that ice rod in here. In fact,
yeah,
he
that's
almost certainly
true.
wouldn't.
Yeah, because once he finds Ice Rod, like, he's not in go mode yet. He still needs that Quake Medallion.
Yep.
I mean, technically, even if we find the Ice Rod, we still need another sword, but at this point, Ganon's Tower's gotta have at least one, I imagine.
Yeah, Ganon's Tower or Turtle Rock, so once you're otherwise in go mode, it's hard to see going too far out of your way for another sword.
Yeah, and Turtle Rock's, like, so linear as it is, too, so you'll get almost all the items in there anyway. Looks like Witty Words is also going with the Swamp Palace play, and he actually has the Quake Medallion, so if he does find the Ice Rod in here, he can just leave straight away. And looks like Kermit is going to find his Quake Medallion, so he will just be an Ice Rod and a sword away from go mode now.
Jay Meisher opting to go ahead and do left side of Swamp first. I like this play. He's looking for 2 different items. He's pretty well committed to full clearing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the quickest way to do it, if you're going to commit to that.
And looks like Kermit's actually doing his Lumberjack check, which he hasn't done yet, so... Nope, thankfully you haven't missed it yet. Although he can't even get to Aghanim 1 anyway, he doesn't have a cape.
Yeah, that's true. None of our runners have seen the cape yet today. And as Chad is quick to point out, Pendant is still a possibility, and our 2 right-hand runners who have found the book have not opted to check that ped yet.
I know definitely in Jay Meisher's case, he actually went to the back first. Oh, well, there's a sword, so we got one of the missing pieces still.
Of course, thinking about what he has left to go,
Yeah.
that Master Sword doesn't necessarily even help him that much between here and Ganon's Tower.
I mean, that's very true. I'm not going to disagree with that, but still.
It makes the Argus fight a little better.
Yeah. And, you know, might run into a sword along the way in GT, so you'll know you have Chip-Tempered Sword at least. That's, yeah, that's something.
And it looks like Kermit's giving us our first look inside Turtle Rock. So one way or another, we should be seeing something interesting pretty soon here.
I hope so. Well, there's Tempered Sword.
Huh, so okay, only one more sword to be found. So if that winds up being in GT...
Ooh, there's the Ice Rod.
Never mind then,
Hey.
Looks like all of our runners will be needing to find those other swords.
Mm-hmm. That is unfortunate for Kermit, though, because, yeah, if he continues all the way through, he'll be unable to finish Turtle Rock, unfortunately, so we'll have to double dip this dungeon.
Jay Meisher making short work of Argus with that very sexy double fire rod finish.
Gets the green pendant for his trouble, but Jay Meisher is not in go mode yet. He still needs to find that Quake medallion, which is in King's Tomb. So he'll have to make his way kind of north of Dark World to check those locations. And at this point, once Weighty Words gets that ice rod, he's going to be noping out of here for sure and going straight to the end of the game.
Jay Meisher cleaning up some orphaned overworld checks. If he winds up heading north from here, he might not be that far behind Weighty Words, if at all.
Yeah, he definitely has the right idea here, kind of checking all these like little one-off locations, especially being so close to Swamp when you finish the dungeon. So definitely a good time to route this in. But yeah, Weighty Words heading right back up to Death Mountain. He's going to be going right through Turtle Rock and then over to Ganon's Tower to get started on the end of the game here.
And unfortunately, Jay Meisher opting to do Smith Chain before North Dark World. That's going to cost him some time before he gets go-moded. Especially if he opts to take that purple chest to its home.
Meanwhile, Oro does make it through the Vitreous refight, and it looks like he also has the same idea that Kermit has. Going to be checking out the Dark Death Mountain checks first. But then we'll probably be heading into Turtle Rock right after that, unless he just decides maybe Swamp's the right play after all.
Yeah, that's a heartbreaker because it's hard to fault him when you're right there and there are so many checks in Turtle Rock.
Mm-hmm.
And in the back of your mind, you're thinking, if everybody else does Swamp, and I'm the one with the big brain, that would give me such an advantage not having to climb this mountain twice.
Yeah. It's really what makes like that decision really, really hard to make in the moment, because you're just trying to think. You're up against, again, we have 86 people in this particular qualifier, so you're just trying to think. You know, I'm kind of on the edge of, or at least close to the edge of making the next stage of the tournament. I gotta make a strong play, see if I can get some more points here.
And then as if having to go through Turtle Rock wasn't bad enough, you're having to go through the first time with Fighter Sword.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess it's kind of good you don't have to worry about Fighter Sword, or in that case it'd be Hammer Trinex at least, but it's still definitely not a great feeling having to go through here with such limited equipment.
And as Kermit knocks out his last couple of checks of Laser Bridge, his heart's got to be in his throat. Like, please, please, please. No. No. Feels bad.
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well, particularly with these qualifiers even. So yeah, it's definitely a rough feeling, but gonna get out of there as quick as he can. He knows where he needs to go. He's gonna go straight to Swamp and finish this up. And shouldn't be in go mode too much longer, and you'll get some nice swords along the way too.
Meanwhile, Jay Mish are about to leave the purple chest behind like a bad ex-girlfriend because he's about to find his go mode item.
There we go. He got his Quake Medallion. He is in go mode as well. Oh, Dead Rock, please.
Worse than Chain Chomps, worse than Lionel's, the worst enemy in the game, the Dead Rock.
It's definitely not my favorite or even close to it, so I'm in agreement there.
And Weighty Words getting the really good key logic for a go mode. Turtle Rock gets to skip Laser Bridge altogether and just go straight into the Trinex fight.
Yeah, at this point, like, the only item that could really help him at this point is Silvers, and that speeds up the Ganon fight tremendously, but for the most part, like, a runner of Weighty Word skill definitely does not need Silvers at all.
Yep, and having Red Mail, having Tempered, being able to play a little riskier in that Ganon fight, take a couple of bat hits without having to worry too much. Yeah, not going too far out of his way for Silvers definitely seems like the right play.
Mm-hmm. And there we go. The numbers have started appearing in chat because Weighty Words has gotten all 7 crystals. So now the last thing we're really going to be looking for here is that Ganon's Tower big key. So people want to get those guesses in to where they think that big key is going to end up. Usually just pick a number 1 through 22 and see if you're correct in that big key placement.
If you want to pick a number above 22 or below 1 for that matter, I mean, you do you. But it will negatively affect your chances.
Yeah.
Now, I always bet, too, because I like to be nice to our runners, and, you know, that first check's got to be a small key. You're going to need one of those, too.
Mm-hmm.
So look at that. I'm already half right.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe not in the way you were initially thinking, but it still works. Still works. So this is interesting. Kermit does not check the left side of Swamp, so he will, at the very least, only have Master Sword for Trinex. Could still potentially run into a sword in GT along the path if there is one, but there will be a significant sword disadvantage, quote-unquote, for Kermit here.
Yeah, especially if the silvers don't show up between now and Ganon. A silverless tempered sword fight is very doable. A silverless master sword fight, still doable, but oh boy, that's rough.
Yep, it is.
Especially with no half magic, you're having to worry about conserving your magic power, making sure you don't screw yourself out of getting those torches lit. It can be stressful.
It really can, definitely.
Oh. And there's the big key on the right side of GT.
And I believe that was number 8, so... With that, Weighty Words is going to be heading straight for the end of the game, for the pretty much the very execution-heavy part of this run. Going to be trying to make it through a lot of kill all enemies rooms, and some other obstacles, some boss fights along the way as well. So we'll see how he handles that as he makes the climb to the top.
That's right. This is the portion of the game where Link to the Past is not a particularly combat-heavy game, but this is where the game just throws every mechanic combat-related at you all at once.
That was one of the things I really enjoyed when I was a kid playing through this section. It's like, wow, there's enemies from like every single dungeon in the game in this section. That's really cool. And yeah, it's definitely a good section to watch, especially like in speedruns and even in high-level randomizer execution play like this as well.
It's a really nice mix of rooms that are predictable and have a pattern to them, and then rooms like the one that Weighty's in right now, where there's a significant RNG element. You've got to improvise to figure out how to handle it. It's speedrunning in a nutshell right here.
Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more. The cool thing about Randomizer is you might have different tools like for this section as well. So you may see some runners use like the bow. You might see some runners even use like the fire rod if they have magic to spare. So it's really cool to watch like all the different strategies you can use. Meanwhile, Jay Misher gets Trinex down, gets his 7th crystal, so he'll be heading over to Ganon's tower to join Weighty Words as well. And looks like Kermit is here as well, too.
Yep, he's having a slightly rougher Trinex fight, having to get a little slideshowy to switch to that hammer. And he's going to have to deal with some ice floors from the ice head there. Didn't get switched over quite in time to prevent that.
Looks like he does have some potions he can use just in case.
And if Jay Misher goes full right here, as, seems very likely, he'll be able to make up a little bit of time, but Weighty Words has quite a significant lead at this point. It would take a pretty bad mess up on the Ganon fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's even, like, not checking chests anymore. He's committed to Tempered Sword Silverless, and he's just going to go for it.
Meanwhile, Kermit does emerge victorious from Trinex, and he is also heading into Ganon's tower. Oro heading into Swamp and about to enter his own go mode once he finds that ice rod.
And Lady Word's in the Aga 2 fight. I think he's up to 3 hits right now. 5. And there we go.
Whitey pulling off a very nice double spin, clinking against Ganon's trident to get an extra hit in there. He is showing no mercy to this pig today.
Yes, he makes it into phase 3. Just 4 hits, has already got 2 in. There's their hit number 3. And we'll also find out where those silvers ended up hiding as well. Oh, Ganon's tower, probably on the left side then.
Yep, very unlikely that we'll see any of our 4 runners grabbing that today.
Well, we'll see. Oro still has to go through there, so... Now we start the silverless strikes here.
And Wadey just making it look easy. I don't think he missed a single spin. That was a beautiful silverless fight.
Yeah, really, really well done. Would expect nothing less from the SGL champion. And yeah, with that, Witty Words has finished. He is, for this qualifier, finished in 2nd place with a time of 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 10 seconds. Get your GGs in chats. Just for the record, the 1st place finisher was actually Dante, who managed to snipe with a, or not snipe, but got a 1:38.24. So 2nd place by only about a 3-minute margin. Not bad.
Very close race.
Yeah, definitely.
But I suppose with upwards of 80 people in the pool, every race is going to wind up being pretty close.
Oh yeah, for sure, definitely.
Looks like Jay Misher about to head into his own Aga 2 fight here. And yeah, I believe I did see him skipping the gauntlet chests as well. I suppose it is still possible that the silvers might be obtainable here without going too far out of one's way.
Yeah, that is true. Very nicely done by Jay Misher. Got Aga 2 down, so he just has 1 Ganon fight to go. And then once we get Ganon fight down on Jay Misher's end, we'll see if we can maybe get some quick words in from our runners here, or first 2 runners on Restream anyway.
Misher showing off those nice quick dash strats, getting in between Ganon's reach so he can punish him with impunity here.
Gonna take a quick drink of a blue potion just to kind of get that health restored as Ganon moves on to phase number 3.
Kermit checking the gauntlet chests. No silvers yet. Did find a shovel. They could have been hiding in the dig spot for all we know.
It could have been, yeah. And Misher starts the silverless strikes in phase 4.
And Kermit does find the silvers in the pre-Moldorm 2 chest, so he won't have the tempered,
Wow.
but he'll have something. Yeah.
That's a nice find, and to thank both Misher and Weighty Words were just, just steps away from getting that.
Couldn't be bothered.
Unfortunately, Kermit is getting the business from Moldorm here, getting knocked down to the lower floor, has to come back and start again.
Oh, and that's the second time Misher. The timing is tight trying to get that extra spin in, and he's managed to turn Ganon blue. Feels bad.
Mm-hmm.
And the pig goes down. Meanwhile, Kermit gets off a nice triple. He'll be going into his own pig fight soon.
And Misher finishes in 8th place with a time of 1 hour, 46 minutes and 33 seconds. Yeah, I don't think we've had a minute finish in any randomizer seat ever, so my bad.
Yeah, I don't think this is Major Glitches mode.
No, I don't think it is either. Get the boots of the very first chest in Link's house, and then you just do the warp and Hyrule Castle to Ganon. Or Triforce Room, anyway. And here we go with BBQ Kermit also entering Ganon. It's an interesting scenario. Like, he's going to have a slightly longer Phase 1 and Phase 2, but his Phase 4 will be faster with those silver arrows, so interesting set of equipment from just the difference of the first 2 finishers on Restream and Kermit.
There are so many opportunities. He's doing really well for only having Master. Making use of positioning to get some double spin attacks in there and just making the best of his situation here.
Oh yeah, definitely going really, really well. We'll have to get a couple more hits here, so didn't quite get him in that cycle, but still very close to finishing this off.
He is taking quite a few hits here, and I haven't been paying close attention. I'm not sure what he's got in his bottles.
He is through the worst of it with those bats, though, so... Doesn't get the torch glitch, but that is okay, because he does have the silvers. And there we go.
That will do it for our big blue piggy friend.
And with that, BBB Kermit finishes in 14th place with a time of 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 29 seconds. Get your GGs in chats, and let's see if we can get some of our runners in for a quick chat before as Oro makes his way up Ganon's Tower. Okay, joining us in the commentary booth here, we have Jay Meisher, our second place finisher on Restream. GG on your run. Tell us how you're feeling when you get a chance.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, feeling, pretty good all around based on all these finish times coming in. Yeah, it's funny. I really don't stand to benefit much from this race just based on the way my scores are, but I'll take it. I'll take an 8th place finish in this type of field any day.
Oh, yeah, definitely, for sure. Of our Restream runners, you were actually the first to, find that ice rod in Swamp Palace. The only thing kind of, still holding you back a little was looking for that Quake medallion, but, and as a result, Witty Words was able to pick the ice rod up and then go straight to Turtle Rock while you had to kind of look around a little bit. But, yeah, really nicely done. It seemed like a lot of your kind of, I guess, quote-unquote gambles kind of paid off. Noticed that you left 2 items in the Eastern Palace once you found that bow, so, definitely made some really, really good calls in the seed.
Yeah, it's true. It's funny. Like, the one time with the seed that I stand to gain very little, I make some really crazy gamble. I just kind of felt like... after the way my initial, it's weird, you kind of get into a mode sometimes where you're just like, I don't know, this feels like a seed where I need to gamble a little bit. The early game routing was really weird just because of the way stuff was laid out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, kind of, I think at that point, I really thought about going back and just killing Armos really quickly, but I really wanted to get into Pod. I made a gamble to go Eastern Palace first, just in case there happened to be a bow there by some crazy happenstance. Mm-hmm. And there was, so I kind of felt like at that point I needed to press my luck and just go Pod right away.
Well, definitely worked out for you for sure. So definitely GG on that. We also really like kind of your routing for going back to grab the flute as well. Kind of took out those other dungeons you needed to kind of take out without the flute first, and then once you're done with Ice Palace, you could just go right back over there and grab it. So a nice decision there as well.
Yeah, the thing about flute is that it doesn't really open up too much. It would have been nice to have early to be able to see the Mire area, and I definitely wanted to try and get that splash delete. I just didn't have enough bombs and couldn't get down quickly enough. But yeah, I was like, I didn't feel too badly about that because, like I said, flute is really only going to be good for getting you to Mire. So I figured I'd knock out, once I found the flippers and Pod, I was like, well, let me knock out Ice Palace and I can just go straight there and pick it up.
Okay, so very quickly, I'm also gonna bring Kermit in here as well. And in here we have BBB Kermit, our third place finish on Restream. GG on that finish. Get a chance, let us know how you're feeling about that run.
Yo, GG guys. Actually not feeling too terrible. I'm nervous as always, but I think 14th place in this big race and with this kind of seed is definitely okay. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure it's definitely a relief to see that, like, after you made, like, you know, the big gamble in the Turtle Rock as well, ended up not being the play at all for that Ice Rod. But, you know, you're able to very quickly recover, go back down the swamp, grab the Ice Rod, go back up, and you really tore through Turtle Rock, too. So definitely a nice recovery there. So, you know, GG on that finish, and, you know, GG finding those silvers along the way. Both Jay Misher and Witty Words actually did not pick those up, so you were able to kind of save some time there. And, you know, with that Master Sword, bet it was definitely good to find those as well.
Yeah, definitely. I was kind of surprised that everyone on Restream had tempered. So someone told me that it was left side swamp, I think, right?
Yes.
Who in their right mind checks left side swamp before going to the back? Like, you guys are crazy.
Just slowly raise my hand over here.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Well, oh, sorry. I was just gonna say when I went to swamp, it was like my last big item dense check, so I figured I was gonna full clear that no matter what.
Yeah, because another thing to, again, you're kind of mentioned this earlier before you came in, but Jay Misher actually didn't have Ice Rod Go mode. He still had to kind of find the Quake Medallion and pick that up. So, you know, when you have two items on the table, it kind of makes a little more sense to full clear and check that left side. But, yeah, that's kind of how that played out, at least. I can't speak for Witty Words, though.
Yeah, he's crazy anyways. Everyone knows that. No, but despite that, I think, yeah, the bee trolled me in the beginning. That was really sad.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
She just flew away. And then the bomb didn't hit the Moldorm in the mini Moldorm cave, so it started off pretty bad, and I was like, okay. But yeah, the Eastern play was good, and I don't know. I'm glad I checked Castle. I normally skip that entirely and just lose races. But when I didn't go up the mountain because I couldn't find my way, I went back there and found Samaria. So that was good. I got a bit lucky, I think. But after that, I routed decently, I think. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more. Very good job on your part. Very good job to both of you. You know, I did notice that both of you are kind of close to that cutoff line. So, you know, a finish like this in a race like this, definitely a strong way to end. I also noticed that, like, both of you actually, like, forfeited or something during your first qualifier, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about Kermit, but I had a brain fart for getting sick kid on one of the seeds, and we had Ice Rod of all things. So, yeah.
I think mine was an Agar seed, which actually went pretty well, but I skipped digging game, and that had the mirror, and last location that, and I just gave up because I was already tilted. I probably could have still gotten like an 0.8, so it was a bad idea to forfeit, but yeah, I don't know. I was really triggered in that race, so we'll see if it's enough now. I think it'll be close, probably.
Well, definitely best of luck to the both of you, you know, on making past that cut line, and of course, you know, further on in the tournament if you get to that point. So we're gonna kind of quickly turn our attention back to Oro here. He is in the Ganon fight now. Did manage to pick up those silvers, so we'll not have to worry about any silverless strats here as he makes it into Phase 3 to finish off this fight. Okay, he's got 2 hits in. 3 hits in. Oh no!
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunately, does take a death on Ganon. We had 1 hit to go, so looks like he's going to be just temporarily dipping away from the pyramid, get some safeties really quick, just to, make the fight a little more tolerable. Get some potions. Okay, gonna be heading right back here. But yeah, definitely overall, very interesting seed to watch, especially with 4 different runners going on their, different routes. It always seemed like, one runner had this one item, but not another item. One runner was missing, a lot of the medallions, but another one didn't have this other item for a long time. It's just really interesting how this really played out and how it all kind of converged together at the end for that, either Turtle Rock or Swamp Palace play.
I think this seed is actually terrible for a qualifier race, because this is a time destroyer or point destroyer for many people, I think. So yeah, bad seed. Bad.
It will definitely be interesting to see the finish times after this. It does seem like around this point, a lot of finish times came in at kind of around the same time, so...
Yeah, I'm sure it was a great race to watch. I could have probably made it quicker if I hadn't done the Skullwoods play, which was just brain dead. Yeah, I agree. It's probably not great for qualifying. This is probably gonna race a lot of people who end up dropping.
Yeah, that's where those tournament rules designed to account for variance come into play, I suppose. Seed like this, where that decision to go to Swamp or to Turtle Rock, for those who had the medallions for Turtle Rock, that's a real make or break.
So did you guys actually search for the ice rod in other spots for Turtle Rock?
I didn't have Quake, so I actually got really lucky.
Oh, yeah, yes.
I skipped out on King's Tomb for quite a while, and so I did Swamp and then routed through, because I didn't do any of the Blacksmith Chain or South Dark World, so I did all that immediately after.
That's pretty interesting. So normally I think everyone that didn't skip Quake probably would have went to Turtle Rock first. I don't know. If you want to win the race, I think you pretty much have to go to Turtle Rock first if you are still missing Ice Rod.
Oh yeah, I would have done it if I had Quake, because I was up there with Bombus and Ether. I was absolutely going to dip in there with one of those.
Okay, so Oro coming to the end here. I think he's at 3 hits now. And there we go. Last GG of the qualifier. And Oro is going to be clocking in at 51st place with a time of 2 hours, 3 minutes, and 15 seconds. Get those GGs in chat, everybody. So I did see Oro in chat earlier. If he's still around, if you want to come in and talk about the run at all, feel free to go ahead. If you don't, that is fine as well. Just let us know. Looks like he did join the setup room, so let's go ahead and get him in here. And we are joined by the 4th place finisher on Restream. We have Oro. GG on the finish. How are you feeling after that run?
GG, not feeling super great.
I did see Oro chat. Yeah, it was a pretty rough seed. I mean, having to go through like so much of that with such minimal equipment. The fighter sword, obviously, that gave some issues on Vitreous as well. And, obviously never... Even if you have silvers, the Ganon fight can be pretty... can get away from you at times. But, GG for at least, sticking with it and kind of coming to the finish there, so...
Yeah, that felt especially bad because I had such a really terrible land mode 2 fight that I had to burn a potion on, and then I had no safeties left when I was going to Ganon.
Yeah, understandable. I guess just in general, I guess just in terms of the item progression, how did you kind of feel about this one? It seems like the common consensus that from our other 2 runners here is this was just not a really great qualifier race, just because of how kind of the early game was kind of laid out a bit, and then obviously the big decision at the end there for Swamp Palace or Turtle Rock to look for that Ice Rod.
Yeah, I felt pretty good about my routing in general up until that decision between Swamp Palace or Turtle Rock, and I hadn't been to Dark Death Mountain at all, so I had all of Hookshot Cave and Super Bunny and Turtle Rock, so it just seemed like a no-brainer to me to check all of those instead of 6 plus Green Pendant and Swamp.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. That's just one of those things in randomizer especially, where it's just like you have so much on the table in one direction, and in the seed like this, and even Kermit had the same idea where if the Ice Rod's in Turtle Rock, you feel pretty good. You got that. You can go straight to Ganon's Tower and finish Turtle Rock right then and there. So it is definitely a strong play. I can definitely see kind of some strong gambles in that direction, but then just randomizer throws that just really annoying wrench into the works where it's like, you know what? No, it's going to be in this other place. So, it is definitely annoying when that does happen.
Yeah, and coming into this race, I was right on the edge of, right on the edge of qualifying. I'm probably going to be somewhere between 129 and 135 or something like that. So I really needed a strong win. I didn't even, I didn't want to get an average win. I wanted to get a strong win, or
right.
Didn't.
Yeah, I'm actually. Yeah, okay, I'm looking at your scores right now, and yeah, I can definitely see that mindset going into this. And, you definitely gave it a good shot, though. So, GG on the effort, and, definitely come back for, if it doesn't work out, come back definitely for another tournament in the future and give it another shot. And, definitely a potential. There's a lot of strong competition in this, a lot of strong players. Even just looking at, the pool of players compared to, not even just last year, but 2 years ago especially, just so many more people have started playing randomizer, and yeah, it's a very strong competitive pool, that's for sure. So before we kind of cut off here, Ben, do you got any final thoughts or questions you want to put out there before we sign off here?
I just want to thank all 4 of our runners for coming in here and putting on a great show for us and all the people at home, and also big thanks to both of our restreamers and trackers, who are kind of the unsung heroes that make the whole thing go.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you, Nif Boy and Vince Easter, for being the trackers on this particular race. as always, thank you, Speed Gaming, for giving us a place to host these matches and these qualifiers and all the lovely rando stuff that gets put on here over the last couple of years. I really appreciate it. And thanks to all you guys for watching, spending some time watching this qualifier race with us. And last but not least, thank you, Ben, for taking the mic with me on this one. It was a lot of fun commentating with you. And, best of luck on your remaining qualifier as well.
Yeah, thanks. I had a great time.
Okay, so with that, once again, big thank you to our runners, Witty Words, BBB Kermit, Jay Meisher, and SMBM Oro for putting on this show. We will see you guys later. Next qualifier for those interested. I'm going to very quickly bring that up. Next qualifier is actually going to be on Friday, going to be kind of going live around 4:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to check out the action there, we'll for sure have a restream involved. So if you want to see how Qualifier 14 goes, definitely join us again. But for now, we're going to be signing out. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.